All right. Welcome back to the pod, everybody. Another episode of the weekly daily podcast. Recording here on Sunday evening. Got this little, I just tried this. This did not work. I tried putting not headphones, like little noise blockers in my ear underneath my headphones to try to make myself feel more isolated and pretend that none of my neighbors can hear me and I can't hear them. But then I just couldn't hear myself and it felt weird talking. So thanks for joining another episode of the weekly daily podcast here. It's yeah, like I said, I can't remember. I recorded about 2 minutes. I can't remember what I said while I had those stupid things in my ear. So if I'm repeating myself, apologies. But thanks for tuning in. Sunday evening here. I keep telling myself that I'm going to record this thing Saturday morning, and I just haven't. I just have not done that. Why haven't I done that? Probably because I'm so tired. I've been tired. Actually, that's not even true. I haven't done coffee for the past, what is today? November 10th, as of the day of recording. I have not had coffee since October 12th. So it's been almost a month. And I think I'm going to bring it back. I think I'm going to have a cup of coffee on the podcast. First cup of coffee on the podcast next week. See if that makes things more interesting. Boy, I bet you guys hope so. Because I will say, without the coffee, I felt good. My energy levels have felt like consistent, but not like super high. So they're like consistently whatever. No real boost of energy, which is kind of a bummer, because you want to, everybody likes the boost. Okay, so I think I'm going to go back, get some boost, live with the highs and lows rather with just the mediums. So we'll see how that goes next week. Try that on the pod. I just got out of the shower, put this long sleeve shirt on, my nicest long sleeve, little Thanksgiving turkey trot run shirt, and I'm sweating. You know when you get out of the shower, and my shower doesn't have a fan, which is a weird thing. I don't understand how that works. You're just like, yeah, just let all the moisture go into the drywall. I've heard that's very good for it. You know what? I've heard that mold does not come from stuff like that. This is what I heard, maybe I'm wrong. I heard that mold comes from a fan being too strong, too much of a fan being in the bathroom. So maybe that's why they did it. But it's very hot and humid in there, and I threw a shirt on, and I said, let's pod right now, and I'm sweating. So, sorry. Anyways, it's good. Before I get into this, I will mention, hopefully, I don't know if you guys heard it last time, but it was brought to my attention that with this new mic, my S's are popping, are sizzling, or whatever the word is for it, too much. And you know what? I probably shouldn't bring it up because if you didn't notice it before, you are for sure, I guess, going to notice it now. But hopefully you don't notice it because I'm going to try to edit that out of the pod, and we will see how well that goes. But good to be here. Another busy week. We got snow. We got the snow that they were calling for last week that I was talking about in the podcast, which was it's fine. It's whatever. It just makes it tough to like do stuff, which isn't fine. I don't like it. Okay, there's no school cancellations. It makes everyday errands obnoxious. It makes running like either obnoxious or impossible. So I haven't walked or run for the last couple of days. Today was honestly the first day in a while that I ran, probably since last weekend. So just got back from running, ran like 4 miles at Wash Park, which was nice. It was not. It was fine. It was obnoxious a little bit actually because if you're not familiar with the park, which you probably aren't for most of you listening, but it's the park closest to my house. It's like a mile away. It's a super nice park in a nice residential area, but it's like 2.5 miles around, and they have kind of a running trail that goes around, which is what I always run on. But because of the snow, that was like all slushy and messed up. So they also have like this larger just asphalt road that goes all the way around. And that's always like super populated with walkers, bikers, people with dogs and pets, and dogs and pets. That was a little redundant. It's just dogs. There's no cats out there. There's no, what even else would people have? I guess I saw a guy with a parrot on his shoulder a couple weeks ago. He was walking around at that farmer's market that I talked about. Which anybody in public walking with a bird on their shoulder outside and that bird does not fly away, that's some crazy Stockholm syndrome. I don't understand that. Anyways, ran on the inner loop, and it was actually super obnoxious because the running trail it can be a little obnoxious. It's not that wide. It's probably, if I had to guess, I don't know, 6 to 10 feet wide. And so sometimes people walk on that path, and if they walk like three people beside each other, it blocks like the whole path. So if you're running behind or if you're running toward them, it kind of forces you to go off the path, which, I just think is very rude. And the older I get, the more I'm starting to become like a full curmudgeon, just full blown curmudgeon. And that's how I felt today, running on the big path, because it was so many people and just real poor etiquette. I'm not a fan of the etiquette that was displayed out there earlier. A lot of people with their pets, which is fine, with their dogs. But a lot of people have their dogs out and they let that leash get extended. And then that dog, like the leash and the dog is blocking like 10 feet. And it genuinely makes me want to just go out there next time with a pair of scissors and just snip. Just be like, hey, if you're in a heavily populated area where people are running and biking and like rollerblading, all this stuff, and you're letting your dog stretch out, you get 4 feet, and then I'm snipping the cord. Okay? I'm going to do that next time. I'm going to get beat up because I'm snipping people's cords. Obviously, I'm not going to do that, but that is obnoxious. Also, it was weird. There was like a big group of people that had, I don't know if it was a birthday or what. I don't think it was a birthday. It didn't say happy birthday, but they had multiple people with massive like clumps of balloons. Whatever, what do you call like a group of balloons? A herd of balloons? I don't know. Whatever it's called. And they're walking and the wind's kind of blowing it and stuff, so that the balloons, I mean, I'm talking about like 20 or 30 balloons that they're just like holding, and it's just like going all over the place. And it's like, you know what? Next time I'll bring my scissors and cut those pet cords, those pet leashes, and I'll pop some balloons. I'll knock them all out at the same time. But it was fine. It was real busy, and I was running. Like I said, the last time I ran was a week ago, mostly because there was a lot of snow, but also last time I ran, my knee swole up a little bit. So I was like, I think I jumped the gun. I got on here last week, and I was like, I'm back, baby. I'm running. I'm gunning. I'm doing it all. But then I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm not doing it all because my knee is swelling up, which also, what even is that? What is that? I don't understand the body sometimes. Just like, oh, this area hurts a little bit. Let's send some liquid that way. I don't know. What is that doing? Where does that come from? If you don't drink enough water, you get a headache. Yet if you bust your knee up, your body finds a way to make some liquid. I don't know. Any scientists listen to this podcast? What is going on? Why do you swell up? That's a weird thing. Genuinely. This is a genuine question that I'm going to look up after because I don't get it. But yeah, anyways, it was nice running out. It was nice temperatures, like in the 50s today. It's been in the 30s. It's been very cold. Got a lot of snow over the last couple of days, which is a lot of it's melting. That's very Denver weather. You get a ton of snow and then it melts immediately. But got the snow. When did the snow come? I think it snowed on Wednesday quite a bit into Thursday, and then it also snowed Friday. And it was, I mean, it's funny because it's typical Denver. You get like, the forecast is like, hey, there's going to be 1 inch of snow. Literally, I didn't even know snow was happening. And then we got like 8 inches. And then Friday they were calling for like over a foot, and we got like an inch. So you never know what's going to happen, but I'm glad we didn't get a foot on top of 8 inches, aka 20 inches. That hurt my brain to do that math because I had multiple shows this week, and that would have been a nightmare. But it is, like I said, I'm in this garden level, and I mean, in a way, it's kind of nice to be like stuck at home in the snow. But also, when you work from home, it is pretty isolating. And with the sun going down like at 4:35, it's kind of obnoxious. But I will say, with the snow happening, I think it like fully transitioned my brain into understanding like it's no longer summer, Ben. You need to understand. I almost said it's winter. It's not winter for a little while, but like it's the cold weather is coming. I get it. The season, I think the seasonal like sadness that kind of comes along with the changing in seasons. You just you just need to cut the cord. You just need to get a big snow, and you're like, I'm good now. I don't want the snow. I don't really like the snow, but whatever. We'll go with it. But how have you guys been? Did you guys get any snow? I was sorry. It was funny. I was talking to some lady with my day job. From she called in from Denver. So the company I work for is in California. I work remotely, and so I'm taking calls from people all over the country, and this one just happened to be in Denver. And usually usually people aren't asking, but usually if people do ask like where are we, they'll like ask like where are you guys, assuming that we don't work remote, and I'll just tell them California. So this lady's in Denver. It had just snowed that day, and she's like, "Where are you guys located at?" And I was like, "California." And she's like, "Oh, you're so lucky. It must be so hot there. We just got so much snow here." And it was funny because I'm like watching it snow. I'm like, also obviously I live in Denver, but I had already like said California, so I didn't want to like pivot. So I was just like, "Oh, no way, you got snow?" I was like, "That's crazy." Wow, yeah, it's really hot here. I was actually starting to panic because I was like, if she asked, I mean, it would have been fine, but if she would have been like, "What's the temperature there?" I would have just been like, 72, 72 and sunny. Don't check the weather app. It's 72 and sunny. Okay. I definitely live in California. Don't check it. I need to get back into the cold shower stuff because I'll tell you what, with genuinely, whether it's the coffee, whether it's me getting dementia, I don't feel like I have the sharpness, which a lot of you guys listening are probably like, you've never been super sharp, Ben, which that's a fair point. But I feel like whether it's the coffee, I think it's maybe a little bit of the coffee, also the fact that I haven't been able to exercise like to exhaustion, like to really exert myself to where I'm like, I always, how do I explain? I always explain it as like breaking my brain up, like breaking up the thoughts and the fog and just like pushing that out with like a hard exercise. And I haven't been able to do that with the couple runs that I've done. It's been obviously like slow runs. I'm trying not to hurt myself. I'm like running at a slow pace, and I'm not really pushing my heart rate to its limits or anything. So it's good to get back to running, but I do feel like I am missing the hard runs, and I think the cold shower can also maybe bring some sense of that feeling, whatever that feeling is. Because I feel like I've been on the podcast and I haven't had. And look, again, you guys are gonna say you've never had any good riffs, Ben, but I feel like I haven't had any good riffs. And whether they were good in the past or not, at least I had the feeling inside of me, my own. I had my feelings that I felt that I was riffing sometimes. It's been a minute though. See, even that, even me talking about not being able to riff, I don't even know the words that just came out of my mouth. Okay, I've got these hot lights on me. I've got, you know, probably everybody can hear me through the walls. This is, man, I've been looking into more stuff on Amazon. I told myself I wasn't going to buy any more stuff, and I have bought some more stuff. I've been looking into like a little studio, almost like a studio tent. It's like, can I buy like a little noise isolating tent and just put it over myself here and then not feel so self-conscious about talking with neighbors around? But I did look into that, and there's some stuff out there, but I'm not about to pay $500. I'll just have to feel awkward, and that's fine. But I did buy a few more things. I said I wasn't gonna do it on Amazon. I bought a Swiffer, a wet jet, or a mop, whatever it is. Um, which I think that's okay. It's like I probably should have one of those. And then I also bought like a door stopper, which hopefully it fits. I don't know. Those better be the last things I guess that those aren't even the last. The one thing I also need, I need a new pan. The only cooking pan I have is literally, it's like, I mean, it might be like 18 inches diameter. It's enormous. My last roommate, I would cook using it, and he called it he called it like a cowboy kettle or so. I don't know. He had some nickname for it because it was so large and obnoxious. And every time I cleaned it, it would take up like the entire dish tray. But that's all I have now, which it's fine, but it like cooks a ton of food. And if I'm doing just like a couple eggs to cook, it's just a massive thing to use. But the problem is, here's the problem, guys. I have looked briefly a couple times. Do you guys do this? Where you go on Amazon, you're like, I gotta buy this thing. You look through and you just don't feel like you're ready to pull the trigger. You're like, I need to read some reviews, or I need to do a little research before I buy this $15 pan. But that's why I feel that way with this, because I want to get a pan. I don't know enough about pans. That's ain't that the truth. I don't know enough about pans. Uh no, but I don't know enough about like the uh material, or like the stuff that's on the pans for like nonstick and stuff like that. I don't want I don't want any sort of coat that's on these pans that breaks down and eventually I'm eating whatever terrible chemical thing that is. And I say that because I used to have a small pan for a long time, and after years and years of using it, it gets scratched up, it changes colors, this and that, and then, I connected in my head like, oh, I've just been every meal I cook on here, I'm just like eating some flakes of whatever non-stick stuff that is. And I'm like, that can't be good. That's got to be terrible for you. So I'm assuming stainless steel just all the way around is probably safe, but I think those are like super expensive. So I'm trying to find what is not super expensive, but also what's not going to kill me if I eat whatever stuff. Which, like I said, I've already eaten off pans that have that. I don't get it. This is something that if you think too much about it, it could ruin your day. So I try not to, but I've eaten off a lot of pans that, uh, you know, it's like scrambled eggs plus some, seasoned with a little nonstick pan that I didn't want included in the eggs. But what can you do? What can you do? We got a fun week coming up of shows. A lot of stuff going on. I before I get into the shows, there's something. I don't know if you guys follow technology stuff, but my algorithm on YouTube has like completely changed in recent weeks. Kind of since I moved here, like over the last month. It was very golf heavy. It was very golf heavy and fireplaces. I'll throw a nice live fireplace on the YouTubes when I read or something. It was golf, fireplaces, and then like pizza reviews, which is hilarious because I can't eat pizza. Anyways, now my algorithm has totally changed because I'm not really playing. I haven't played golf for a while because my shoulder issue, and so the golf videos aren't as much in there. I'm getting a lot more tech reviews. The tech reviews are really popping in there, and although I'm not one to buy a bunch of new tech, it is cool to see where we're headed. And one thing I saw recently that was very cool. There's a couple things. There's one is a Mac It's not a MacBook. It's like an Apple product, like I guess it's a desktop, but it's not like I haven't kept tabs on desktops for um I mean a decade plus. I don't know what's going on in the desktop game. I haven't had a desktop in so long. Anyways, my thought, and maybe your thought too, of desktops, or maybe you guys are more up to speed on the current tech game, but it's like, the massive standing large rectangular shaped computer. That's like the traditional desktop. Apparently, this new, I mean, I'm assuming some others have gone down this route as well to get smaller and smaller and smaller, but the newest Apple version, it's like a tiny little box that's basically the size of like a cell phone. I mean, it's a couple inches thick, and I think it's like 5 inches by 5 inches by 2 inches tall. And then that's what it is. It's this little pod, and then you plug that in, obviously, to your screen and to your mouse pad, and man, I can't even recollect words. That's how like stupid I feel. If I don't drink coffee and become smart again, I'm gonna be really disappointed, because this irks me a little bit. But keypad, is that what it's called? Keyboard. Wow, I'm disappointed in myself. You guys ever have that where you just like feel so dumb? You're like, I'm disappointed. Like, I get it. If I were my parents, I'd be like, golly, we made a dumb kid. This guy's not turning out how we hoped. He doesn't even know like words and stuff. But I don't know what happened to me. Okay, my siblings, people in my family, very smart. I can't think of words a lot of times. What can you do? Anyways, what was I even talking about? Oh, the Mac computer. So yeah, that's very cool, and it's only like $600 or $700, which is pretty crazy, especially for Apple. Because I mean, just those products, you're not even finding stuff under $1,000. But it was interesting watching that, because it was one of those things where I'm like, I don't need one of these at all. But with it being a little more affordable than most of their stuff, and just like new technology, it's got like a new M4 chip. If you're familiar with the new Apple chips, whatever, the processing is faster, whatever they do, they're better apparently. But that was kind of nice. But the really cool thing that I've been following for a while is these foldable phones, which I don't know if you guys have seen, but there's a bunch of companies out there that are making foldable phones. So basically just take if you have whatever, Samsung, Apple, whatever that is, and just double it in size. Just pretend you can open that up and it's like a tablet size, which are pretty cool. I've followed for a while. I don't really have any interest at the moment in getting one, because they're newer. They're still working out the kinks. Um, but also they're super expensive, and I just don't really have a need for them. I mean, the phones are big enough nowadays to do like a bunch of stuff, but I have a laptop as well, and prefer, if I'm doing like actual work and want a bigger screen, I'll just do it on my laptop. But now, get this, guys, the newest thing out there. I'm going to take a sip here real quick. You guys remember a couple weeks ago when I had a coughing fit? Got a lot of comments on that. Not on the YouTube or Spotify. Again, feel free to leave a comment. But a lot of people that I know personally that were like, "Hey, that coughing fit you had, that was funny, right?" I was like, "Well, I guess it's good to hear someone's listening." And then I guess they made it through the coughing fit. But anyways, I'm going on all sorts of tangents. The thing that was interesting was the new technology is they have a trifold, a triple foldable phone, which is, I mean, it's kind of insane, to be honest. I think Huawei makes it, which, if you're not familiar, Huawei is I think, Chinese company that I'm pretty sure is like a massive company. But if you haven't heard of it, then it's because it's not allowed in the US. whatever trading tariffs, what I don't know, whatever political law rule, whatever it is, it's just not allowed over here. I think because it's made by China, there's like fear, or maybe it's not even fear, maybe it's like a real thing that they're made with some sort of backdoor entry for the Chinese government. Um, so they're not legal here because you know the we could be tracked by the Chinese government, I guess is the thought, which makes sense. But also they do seem to make some pretty sweet phones, and this triple phone seems pretty crazy. I mean, just imagine, yeah, again, like your whatever it is, a 6-inch iPhone, and then just times three, so it's like a full blown tablet. And I mean, I imagine they've got to be like 2,500 plus, so they're probably super expensive. And again, super cool. Um, I wouldn't want to get one of those for a long time because they've only been out for like not even the trifold, but the dual fold phones have only been out for a couple years. And I want to get a better idea of like the wear and tear. It's like, what are we looking at? Because it's still new to the market. Like, do we really know how long can these things actually last with day to day use? So I'm not super interested in getting them anytime soon, but it will be interesting to see if those are ones that kind of take over and become more of the norm versus just a single, screen phone. I don't know. My thought is the dual fold and the trifold are very interesting and very cool. And if I had a ton of money or if I was given one, sure, I would use it. But I don't know that those are ever going to be like mainstream popular. Just because it's like I said, I have a laptop, I have a phone. And I guess you could make the case for, hey, you don't need a laptop anymore if you have this triple phone thing. But my point of view, at least, initially, like I said, I haven't had one, I haven't used one. I just saw a video or two with reviews. But I just don't think it's just not going to replace the laptop in my mind. Like having a physical keyboard, a larger screen, being able to edit things. Um, the touchscreen, I mean, it's nice, but also having a mouse and trackpad and things like that are very useful. And I don't know. We'll see, I guess, if things, if those triple, trifold, dual fold start to replace tablets and laptops. What do you guys think? Have you guys, any of you guys have these phones? You guys tried them out? You guys seen it? It's pretty interesting stuff. I do enjoy the new tech stuff. It's cool seeing where you've gone. Because, I mean, to be honest, this is weird to say because it's not even true. But somebody mentioned this recently in like a podcast or something, and it did resonate with me, and I do think it's true. And that is that it doesn't feel like, even though we're advancing quite a bit technology wise, I think we're so used to high levels of technology at this point, it doesn't feel like things are coming out that are really making me be like, this is amazing. Like, I can't think of the last thing that came out where I was like, this is insane. Like, this is such a crazy, awesome new invention. And I think, I mean, obviously with the triple trifold phone, that's just a touchscreen phone, which is like, okay, those came out in 2008. So like we've made better versions of them, but that's not really a new invention. Same with these computers getting smaller. It's like it's a computer. We've had computers around for a while. They're just getting smaller and faster, but like it's not a new thing. Honestly, probably the last thing that gave me that feeling was probably like the iPod. And I mean probably the cell phone as well, but even before the touchscreen cell phone came out, I Apple's had, what was it, iTouch. So it's kind of like, a similar thing. So the touchscreen iPhone wasn't like as amazing because you're like, well, you've already had the iTouch, and then you just added like calling abilities, I guess, and other stuff too. But what do you guys think? Leave a comment. What's the last thing? What's the last invention that you saw that you were like, this is crazy? I'm trying to think because there's got to be others that are, but I feel like it's just extensions or like improvements on past products, not necessarily a brand new product. So yeah, let me know in the comments. What's the last thing you saw that like blew your mind? Anyways, been a fun weekend. The weekends always go so short, dude. It really is with work and doing hosting a bunch of shows. It really does feel like I mean Sunday's the only day that I don't usually have shows. So it feels like the weekend is like one day because Friday I'll work until 5 and then literally I'll leave at like 5:45 to go set up for a show and then I'll get back home at like 10:30 or 11. So I mean that's a long day from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. working. And then because of that, I'll usually hang out, chill for a little bit, go to bed a little late, get up a little later than usual. Hence, like I said earlier, not doing the podcast early Saturday morning. But then, it's like I got to do all these chores, all this catch up. Like today I got up, I wrote for a while because I'm trying to write new jokes. I got to get in a better routine. Um, I ordered groceries online because I was like, I don't have time to go get them. Ordered a bunch of groceries. I ate lunch. I went for a run. I came back. I took a shower, and now I am here. And I'm explaining Sunday rather than Saturday. I don't know why I just did that. What did I even do yesterday? But either way, it doesn't matter. That's basically a good example of what my weekend days are. To where you're like, okay, the day's like over, and I've literally just like accomplished some things that are important. Like exercise and writing and doing this and showering, hygiene, whatever. But then you're like, I would also like to have some chill time. And it just doesn't feel like there's much chill time. It's just crazy, but that's okay. But with that said, I was able to slip in a little Netflix doc, Martha Stewart documentary. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but pretty cool, pretty interesting. I don't know if cool is the right word, but I didn't really know much about Martha Stewart. Like obviously that I know the name and I remember some stuff, but she's not really top of mind for anything. But it was very interesting. Basically, the documentary, if you haven't seen it, it goes through her like childhood to her rise to notoriety and fame, and then from there building even more to become like a billionaire. I think she became like a billionaire in like the 90s. Like I didn't realize that she was like that big and that wealthy and that popular. And then from there, she went to jail for what was it, insider trading. And then it was she gets out of jail. A lot of that really harmed her reputation quite a bit. But she like did all these things to like kind of make somewhat of a comeback, but like in a pretty different lane. And it was pretty interesting. It was interesting to see. I did not realize that she like first came to fame or notoriety from a catering business. And that sounds kind of lame, but I didn't realize she was like a super over the top fancy caterer, which I don't even know how to. You'll have to watch it to see what I'm saying. I don't know if I can explain it all that well based off my memory. All I can remember is it's just like visually, it gave some visuals of her company catering some like massive events, and it's what you would imagine, uh, just the catering company that would cater like the richest people in the world looking to have their event catered in a way that's like super extravagant and interesting. So the presentation, the not only like the cooking and the types of food and the looks of the food, but how they put it out there. And I mean, they did. Yeah, you'll have to watch it. I can't even. When you go to explain something and you're like, I know that it was very interesting and visually stimulating and crazy and like very fancy, but I don't remember any specific examples to tell you so you can have that visual. So apologies for uh, leading you guys on there, but check it out. It's an interesting documentary on Netflix. But anyways, I'll get into some of the what I've been up to this last week. It was a busy week. And fortunately, there was a lot of snow, but fortunately, I drove through quite a bit of it, but it wasn't bad enough to prevent the Honda Fit from doing its thing. I still got it done, but had a show Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So a pretty full week. Did a show on Wednesday at Comedy Works South, which the club here in Denver has. Comedy Works at least has two clubs, one downtown and one uh, in the South, like in the Denver Tech Center area. So different clubs, different demographics. South Club is a lot more like older demographic, more affluent, wealthy people. And it's a large room. It's like a large room that has like a second level. So like kind of like a theater setup. And I think I don't know, probably seats like 400. And there were like 40 or 50 people there, which to be honest, I mean, obviously it's a small portion of the area, but most shows I've done at Comedy Works South in my 6 years of doing comedy, most, if not almost all of them, have been about 30 or 40 people. So that's just what that club is a lot of times, especially on weekdays. Now on the weekends when a big headliner comes, you know, they're filling out the club a lot more. Anyways, all that said, it was a very fun show. The people that were there were super fun. The show itself was about it's called Interrogation True Crime Stories, I think. So it's about like basically all the comics on the show tell like a true crime story about their life, and then the host will come up and you'll kind of chat with the crowd, interact with the crowd, go over questions, thoughts. The crowd can text in like their own crime stories, and they will be read out loud as well. So it's a fun interactive show, and it was a very fun crowd. Like I went up and I have a joke about um, just my experience with the first party I ever went to in high school and how that got busted by the cops and just the whole story behind that. Uh, and I do that joke in my act. Like I have that as a joke that I tell when I do regular stand up shows. But it was fun because that's like a 3 minute joke. And I just told all the details and expanded it to like 7 or 8. And I didn't have it like worked out. So I was just like in the moment, just like telling the story. And it was very fun. And the crowd was very much on board. And yeah, it was super fun. It was a very fun show, very fun concept. If you're in Denver looking for something fun to do, they do that show I think like once a month at the downtown club and the South Club. They're also doing it at different clubs and places as well. So check it out. It's very fun. Um, Thursday I did a show, just a regular stand up show in Aurora at a brewery, 222. That's what it's called, 222 Brew, which is a weird name. It's TWO and then numerical 22. 2222, 222. I don't know. Whatever that means. Some of these brewery names out there are getting real wacky, real silly. But anyways, show there was also very fun. It was Thursday night and it was like on the brink of getting canceled because snow, but it didn't get canceled. And there was a good crowd. There's probably like 30, 25, 30 people kind of in the back area, which was pretty filled out, that were all paying attention and having a good time. I will say it's funny because the showrunner, he mentioned this too, but I tried to like ask a question or two or I wouldn't even call it crowd work, just more so like trying to engage with the crowd a couple times. And they didn't want to have anything to do with that, which a lot of times crowds don't want to. So I just stuck with the jokes, but they were a very fun crowd. It was a good show. It was a good time. So it was nice to do that. It is frustrating, and I'll talk about it here later. I have not had many new jokes in the last like 2 months, which in the grand scheme of things isn't that long, but also it feels like it's been very long. And I am very frustrated with myself, but also motivated to write some new stuff and start working that out at shows because that's what's fun about it. That's what's fun about doing comedy. It's creating, at least for me. I think a lot of people have a similar feeling. Um, but for me, it's super fun to create and to go up there and be like, oh, I don't know. I've worked on this thing. Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? And like going through the motions of dealing with the new joke and then finally getting it memorized and then getting some laughs and then building on that joke and then developing it to a full bit. I mean, it's very fun. That's what keeps most comedians going, I think. Because at the end of the day, it's like it's great to build. Okay, I've got 20 minutes of very funny jokes. I can go do those in front of a crowd and crush, and then I can just do that forever. But it's like you know, you start going on autopilot, and you're no longer like in the moment having fun. You just become a robot, just repeating things that are just embedded in your brain that you've memorized. And that's kind of how I felt, honestly, with a lot of these shows, especially the shows that I've hosted where it's a little harder to put in new material. So looking forward to some new jokes, which I'll go over here in a minute. But did a Don't Tell show on Friday at a gym. That was a very fun show. It was a very good crowd. That actually I thought might get canceled because it was snowing pretty bad. They were calling for terrible snow, but it ended up being sold out. So not only was it not canceled, it was packed out, which was kind of crazy. But I think it made it like more fun because people were out, the roads were terrible, and they're in Don't Tell is like a secret comedy show set up. Uh, so it was very fun. Everybody did really well in the show. It was funny. So with the Don't Tell, like I check people in, I check their tickets, and then I also set up, all the equipment and stuff, and then I host the show. And so I checked some people in, and before the show started, I was still waiting for people to get checked in. And one lady who had already gotten checked in, she came uh, back to me. I was standing by the door. It's snowing outside. I'm standing by the door waiting for people to come in. And she comes back with a cup in her hand, and she goes, "Hey, I'm gonna go get some of the snow to use as ice. Do you know where I can go? It's like there's a lot of footsteps out there. It looks dirty. Do you know where I can go?" And I was like, "What am I, the snow guy? What kind of question is this? What are you talking about? Do I know where the clean snow is at?" First off, I was like, I don't think snow, especially in a city, is clean. I remember growing up, I would eat snow. I would make, throw sugar and milk and stuff and have like snow ice cream, we called it. But that was in like the burbs. And also even then it was probably like there's probably some pollution stuff in here. But now, I mean, in the city, there you're like, I wouldn't eat the snow. I didn't say that. But what I did say is you walk out. I was like, walk out there. You can just, if it's not yellow and somebody hasn't stepped on it, then sure, go scoop it up. I just thought it was so funny. And it was like a genuine question too, as if I was like, "Hey, this is where I work, and I also am in charge of the sidewalks where the snow is, and whether or not you're allowed to scoop it for your Jack and Coke." So I thought that was very funny, and I mean, part of me was like, maybe this is a bit, maybe she was doing a joke, but she went outside, she came back in, and she was like, "I got a cup of ice, aka a cup of snow, to use as ice." And I was like, "All right, well, you're a strange person." And then after the show, it was me and two other comedians chatting, and this same lady came up and she asked the two other comedians for their Instagram and did not want mine. So that's always good. That's always good to actually, that happens pretty often as a host, which in the past it would be a situation where I'd be like, "Oh, dude, it's such a bummer. I'm like so embarrassed." But I will say now I've gotten to a point where, like, I had a good host set. I've gotten to the point where it's like, yeah, most people don't look at the host as a comedian because I'm checking them. Like, I'm doing a lot of the non-comedian stuff, checking tickets, answering their questions, going up first and being like, hey, don't heckle, doing all the rules and stuff. So a lot of people don't look at the host as like a real comedian, whatever that means. So it didn't bother me. I had a good host set, and it's just kind of funny at this point when people come up and they're like, hey, can I get your Instagram? And then they'll kind of like make eye contact with you and be like, all right, hope you're good stuff. I don't want your Instagram though. And then on Saturday, let's see, where are we at here? 46. Wow. We have to bang through some of this. On Saturday, I hosted a show at a brewery, Barkentine Brewing. It was a rotating tap show. And that was very fun. It was a free show. They do it there like once every 3 months. I had hosted it, I think, like last year maybe, but it's been a while. And there were probably 80-ish people. I mean, it was pretty filled out. Like I said, it's a free show. So it's always one of those where you're like, are they going to be rowdy? Are they going to be good? They were great. They cut the music off, the TV's off, the lights off, spotlights on the comics, and people were listening. I will say it was like an hour and a half long show. And toward the end, they were getting a little rowdy. There's some people that were pretty drunk. And it wasn't anything over the top, but some people were pretty liquored up at that point. And by liquor, I mean beer, because it was a brewery. But there, basically toward the end of the show, I will, because it's a free show, I'll like pass out Venmo codes. I'll do like a little pitch before the last comic and say, hey, it's a free show. If you guys have enjoyed it, I'm putting some Venmo codes around. If you want to donate, it gets split up amongst the comedians. Any amount is greatly appreciated. And I did that. And so I circled around, put it all around. And as I was like going back to kind of the green room area where the comics were hanging out, this guy at this table that was they were a little obnoxious. They were kind of a little chatty, and just, it was like 6 like bros, just 6 dudes out on the night. And one of them waved me down, and he's holding the Venmo code, and he goes, hey man, do you have a vegan menu? And I was like, it's one of those things where it's like, in the correct context, that can be funny, but also it wasn't like in the correct context. It's like he's flagging me down. It's dark. I'm like crouched down. You're whispering because somebody's on stage. And also it's like, I don't know. You're drunk. So it's like, do you need a vegan menu? I don't know. It's just like, it's the wrong context to do jokes. What I'm trying to say is, I said, is this a bit, or do you need a vegan menu? And he was like, oh, it's the bit. And it felt more like not even like a joke, like a gotcha type thing. Or I don't know, because also he handed it back to me like, yeah, get this out of here. We're not going to tip. Which it's like, that's fine. You don't have to tip. But also like to do a lame kind of joke like that and then just like be like, I don't want to tip. It's just like, okay, man, whatever. It was fine, but it's also like just the context of it. It was just like annoying. Be like, oh yeah, is that a joke? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, very funny. See ya. You're like, I don't. It's like stand up. Stand up can be out of context a lot of times. Like stand up, the difference between stand up being stand up and not stand up is all about like where you're at. Like if I have a microphone and a crowd in front of me and I'm doing the act, that's stand up. But if I like walk into an elevator when you're in the elevator and I just start like doing my act to you, you'd be like, what is happening? Anyways, I don't know if that makes sense. That guy, I think I didn't like that guy's face. And then when he said, is this a vegan? Or do you have a vegan menu? I was like, how dare you, sir? Anyways, been working on a couple jokes here. I'll wrap it up here in just a second, but excited. I've been writing a little bit over this last week. I think I talked about it last week. Got some jokes about wearing mouth tape at night, which there's a little bit there. But I also, over the last couple of days, I've been writing quite a bit about these little injuries that I've been dealing with, my knee, my shoulder, maybe linking that up with some past injuries and some past jokes that I've worked on, like when I busted my eardrum. And I think I won't get into the nitty gritty of the joke itself. Maybe next week I'll go over some of the stuff, but I do feel pretty good. I've written quite a bit, and it's one of those where you're like, I see a little nugget in a lot of places. I think I can really clean this up, organize it, and have like something to really work through next week. So, fingers crossed, really hoping that we can get something out of that. Either way, just got to keep writing. Something will come. So excited for that. Uh, I've about a third of the way through this new book. I think I talked about it, Children of Time, which has been pretty good. It's a space sci-fi type movie. Some big spiders, big ants. Some big ants made a cameo in this last week of reading, which might sound a little lame and not your cup of tea, but I will say it's been pretty good. I've enjoyed it. Author has been I like it. It hasn't been a chore to get through, so looking forward to hopefully finishing that. And then there's a couple other books in the series. We'll see if I read those because I got a bunch of other books that I ordered that I got to get through. Again, I mentioned this a couple podcasts ago, and I've probably mentioned it in about a dozen podcasts, and nobody ever does it. But if you do have a book recommendation, let me know. If you're feeling weird about leaving a comment on the YouTubes or the Spotify, send me a message on Instagram. Shoot me a text. Let me know. With that said, I'm going to end it there. Let me know what you guys think. I feel like about halfway through the podcast, I got not funny, but into a better rhythm. I felt a little stiff up top with the top half. But let me know what you think. Let me know if that's a good judgment. Is that what it was like? Also, let me know if the S's are bad on this. I'm going to try to edit it, but if the S's are harsh, let me know. Anyways, I'll end it there. Thanks so much for tuning in this week, guys, and I'll see you guys again next week.